It's another day at the office, and Jack is exhausted. He has been working on his tasks all day, but his to do list seems to never end. And no matter how hard Jack tries, most of his days look like this. If nothing changes, eventually Jack will burn out. You see, we all have limited energy. When we start our days, we have our battery full. But throughout the day, we consume a good part of that energy working. Those who stop and rest come back the next day refreshed. But those like Jack, who stay late and continue working without a break, have their energy depleted. In the next morning, instead of starting fresh, they experience a decline in their energy levels. Many of us are in this situation. After a while, we start feeling tired, demotivated, and eventually we end up procrastinating. The problem is not that we are lazy. The problem is that we have too much on our plate. Which begs the question, are all tasks equally important? Could some be done today while others be postponed or even discarded? Everything we do in our jobs creates some sort of value. It can be value to our customers, it can be value to our colleagues, or it can even be value to us. But not everything creates the same value. Sending a customer's order is a high value task, because if we don't send, we can lose a customer. While attending a meeting where we don't participate and we don't even learn anything new can be a waste of our time, and as such, it is a low value task. So, what should we do? We should use the cut 80% rule. This rule is derived from the famous Pareto principle and says that 20% of our tasks are responsible for 80% of the value that our work creates, while the other 80% of our tasks is only accountable for 20% of value, meaning that we should focus on the top percent tasks and cut the other 80%. Of course, this is an exaggeration, because not all jobs are the same and it is context dependent. However, the principle stays true to most of us. Not all tasks create the same value, so we should identify the most important ones and do them first. Jack decided to try out. He first separated his work into 3 piles. First, the tasks that will create real value, then the tasks that were expected to be done regardless of their value, and finally the ones he considered not relevant. He's afraid he will look lazy by not tackling as many tasks as before, but he doesn't want to continue as before either, so he will focus on the expected and real value tasks first. Let's see how Jack's productivity changed from before applying the cut 80% rule, when he was working hard without considering the value of each task, and after applying the rule. So before, Jack would spend the morning getting through emails, attending meetings, among other small to-dos on his list. Altogether, the value added wasn't that much. After lunch, it was more of the same, slowly progressing on his to-dos and more meetings. By the end of the day, Jack had to push and finalize some of his tasks, but although it was late and he was tired, his day wasn't that productive. But now, by applying the cut 80% rule, Jack is not anymore attending the non-useful meetings, he has answered only the relevant emails and has focused on the valuable tasks. By the end of his morning, he had already created almost so much value as a typical day before. After lunch, he finalizes some not so important tasks that he's required to, but also finishes important ones. By 5 p.m., he has finished everything important and is ready to go home. Although he has worked less hours, he has created much more impact. Jack is much happier now and will never come back to the way it was before. However, it wasn't that easy to implement the cut 80% rule at the beginning. At first, everything seemed important and nothing could be postponed. But answering some of these questions helped Jack find out what wasn't so relevant. Is this task aligned with my long-term goals? Will not completing these tasks have negative consequences? Is this task time sensitive or does it have a deadline? Is this task necessary for the success of the project? If the answer is a no to all of them, maybe it's because it's not that important. Work to create value, not to be busy. By using the cut 80% rule, you will use your time in the most efficient way. Our energy is limited, So you want to have a good work-life balance while you keep increasing your work performance. Have you ever felt blocked at a task because you didn't know how to start or how to solve and you ended up procrastinating? If your answer is yes, you are not alone. You see, many of our tasks require not only doing but also thinking. And while the doing is normally on our computers, the thinking is usually better when we are off them. It is no coincidence if you ever had your mind blowing with thoughts when you were in bed ready to sleep. When we are laying down with our eyes closed, we are not doing or seeing anything, and that frees our mind to start juggling thoughts. The same can happen when we take a shower or even when we are driving back home. On those moments, we have our eyes open, but we are in a pilot mode following habits. Because we are not being distracted and need to make decisions, our mind is set free, and our thoughts start to bubbling. This is why you should separate the thinking from the doing. When you have a problem or a task that requires creativity, leave the computer and find ways that set your mind free, like going for a walk. By walking around, you put your body in motion and you set your mind free to focus on what you want to solve. Then, when you have some ideas, you can jump into action. A good strategy is to take notes on your smartphone along the way so you don't forget anything. Sometimes I also record audio clips for myself so I don't have to write everything down. You will be amazed with how quickly good ideas appear when you are in the right place. If you like these tips, you will enjoy this next one as well. The video is old, but the advice is great. This video took a lot of effort to make, so if you enjoyed, consider leaving a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, see you on the next video.